just passed a building with Unison on the side of it and had the compelling urge to be sick. So that was fun.
Cardiff, a city in Wales, not just the UK, which also happens to be the nation's capital. It's home to the Millennium Stadium, the CIA, not that one, and Sanctuary. Lots and lots of Sanctuary. I was in the capital recently as part of an event set up by PCPW in what is, I hope, the first of many VOTV reports. I was approximately right there. You guys will likely have seen the full unedited breakdown of all the speeches at the event, some featuring head, not that kind, and will thus have a greater understanding of the necessity of PCPW's work and fighting back against the very sinister agendas being pushed from the top down. But on top of that, allow me to take you on a small journey through my nation's capital as a relatively new, accredited thought criminal. Enjoy.
Definitely feel much safer walking around in the valleys than I do in Cardiff. I can tell you that. Just passed a building with Unison on the side of it and had the compelling urge to be sick. So that was fun. Masked Deliveroo drivers and Uber Eats drivers everywhere. Very 1984-ish in my impression, now that I pay more attention to it, walking around. Such a big city, full of people, bustling going about their daily activities, but seemingly no life, just everybody's on autopilot, and just seems that on a bright sunny day like this, still just seems there's no colour anywhere. Like, you know, everything is just grey, like Orwell describes in the book. Yeah. Ramblings and monologues of a thought criminal in the big city, I suppose. And when you got things like this every few yards, it certainly feels as though the eye of the state is on you at all times. Obviously they're not mentioned, they're literal eyes on you at all times. Victory Mansion's right here. A lot of this about all over the place. I wonder how many people have passed so far have harboured themselves counter-revolutionary, non-politically correct thoughts. That's the whole point of the game the government wants to play. They keep you trapped in fear and anxiety, because really, you'll never be able to know, likely until it's too late. I don't think it is, actually. I think the people who run the world might have been a bit too on the nose with this one. Rawfink Industries, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, guys. I think you're a bit on the nose with that one. Well, we're here. Got about 3 minutes to go, so let's get set up and see how this is going to go. The butterflies in the stomach that I would get before rugby games back when I used to play rugby are definitely well and truly making their presence known. Obviously, it's the first time I've been at an event quite of this magnitude outside the Senedd. There's quite prominent individuals from the political landscape in Britain here as well. David Curtin from the Heritage Party is here, and obviously the guys from Public Child Protection Wales who I've spoken with on the podcast as well. So we've got about 3 minutes to go time. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, those butterflies are coming back. I only mean it's something meaningful, potentially with real consequence and real meaning. So yeah, let's get to it.
So we've got some great speakers. A lot of you that come to our protests will know a lot of the ones that are going to be coming up. So yeah, should be a very good afternoon. So first speaker of the afternoon is the famous Kimberly Isherwood. So I'm going to bring her on straight away. Big cheer. Woo-hoo! Okay, over to you, Kim.
Hello everyone. It's been a while since we've been out here and a lot has happened. We were here 5 years ago trying to prevent the new sex education legislation that was coming into place. It was quite difficult trying to prevent it. We fought them in the courts and we had to pay them a total of £72,000 for the costs of that court. So this government here successfully argued the parents have no rights over education simply to pollute their minds with a programme called Comprehensive Sexuality Education, which comes from the work of Dr. Kinsey, Dr. John Money, and the queer theorists who believe child plus adult equals okay. That's a quote from Professor Emma Runnell, by the way. So we fought the Welsh Government in court for our rights, and they were sending us emails. They were going to send the enforcement officers to our houses to remove our furniture to pay their fees. So not only are the government lawyers in here already paid by taxpayer money, when we took them to court, they actually got paid twice. They got paid by taxpayers' money, and then they got paid by the money that we had to fundraise from you guys. So that's where we're at, guys. They've brought in this legislation from age 3 to 16 with no parental opt-out. What has happened since? Quite a lot. Not as much as they would have liked to have happened, because we've been putting pressure on them, but a lot has happened, guys, okay? Our children are experiencing lessons on hugely inappropriate topics, and I've got to watch what I say, because I've got a wonderful young lady there, my little best friend Amira, and some things are not for her ears, because what do we say, Amira? To RSE, good girl. So yeah, so the children are now being taught grotesque acts. There's a school from where I'm from, the children have been taught acts including more than one adult, including tools that police officers use, and gagging and things like that. And we've also had violent, grotesque acts taught to our teenagers. This is not on, guys, it's not on. If that's not bad enough, we have a parent who is now court ordered to view the content before he goes to her child's classroom. Her child has severe disabilities, okay? So he's got psychological disabilities, and you know, he's got other ones as well. But this little boy, he cannot emotionally regulate himself properly. And the other children in his class are the same. He goes to special needs school. But this special needs school is not immune from this RSE, okay? They are using different programs. This particular program they use in this school is called Jigsaw. I want to tell you a bit about Jigsaw, okay? Jigsaw is hypnotizing our children. So I've seen this lesson content myself, and what they do is they take the children into the class, they introduce a lesson to children, so I'll just use an example, touching. So touching is difficult for children with additional needs, they don't like it. So they talk about the touching and the children will squirm. And then they bring out their script, a calming script. The children are told to empty their minds. They read a calming script and then they play a chime. Well, we've had it from a really good source, a clinical hypnotherapist, that is a form of hypnotherapy. So they're using a form of hypnotherapy to introduce concepts that children are not comfortable with, and they're also introducing a character called B. This character called B is non-binary. And when you're looking at the lesson content around this character B, B is very colourful, the other characters are very grey. So they are literally emptying our children's minds, introducing these topics which are unethical, they don't make sense, they're not scientific, it's all an agenda, and then they are playing these chimes. They are practically hypnotising our children to pollute their minds, okay? That sounds a bit far-fetched, but it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. And the truth is also this: they are not allowed to hypnotise your child. It is illegal for a hypnotherapist to hypnotise your child under the age of 5 period. And for anyone over the age of 5, you need consent. So we've sat down with this school, we've explained this stuff to them. And I am very pleased to say, ladies and gentlemen, that this school has taken it all on board. And this school has been removing this stuff from the classrooms, not just safeguarding one child or the class, but entire year groups. So even though the schools are legislated to bring this stuff in, they don't really know what they're doing. They're using external packages, okay? But because they are legislated to bring in the RSE, it does not matter what resources they use as long as they are doing it. So where are we now? We, Public Child Protection Wales, are now limited by guarantee. We are a business, but we're not acting as a business. The directors can never get paid. That's why we did limited by guarantee. We are producing our own resources. We are producing RSSE resources, relationship and safe sexuality education, all from a criminological aspect, all biologically grounded in biology and facts. That's where we are, guys. So even though we could not prevent this legislation coming in, it is here, okay? It is here. They're not allowing us to remove our children from this education, but there is an opt-out that I'll be discussing now with you later on. So we are here, we're going to fight them, guys. We're going to fight them in the classrooms. We're going to produce resources to help the teachers, because the teachers need help. We have produced training, it's the first of its kind in the UK. We have connected with other sex education organisations out there who are questionable, but they love our training. Now, we've also experienced in these sex education organisations, they have been getting rid of wrong ends, haven't they, Kath? Okay? So even though these organisations are supposed to be in opposition to us, and their agendas are the total opposite to us, we are winning over the hearts and minds of individuals, and I think that's positive. It's not what you see on camera, it's the work that goes on behind the scenes, guys, right? So, we are here today to wave this government off, but we will be back after May to welcome in the new government. But it's going to be a welcome of a different kind. This is where we're going to go to town on them, guys, okay? There are exemptions to this RSC, but the government, and we can prove this to you, the government is telling local authority not to give it to you. Local authority is then writing letters for the teachers to provide to you, okay? That exemption still exists. So to all the parents who have attempted this exemption and had no such luck, we will be putting together a campaign when the new government comes in. We might actually take this to court again, okay? We will come together, guys. We will fight it. We will never stop. We cannot allow our children to be poisoned in this way.
It's in.
Today is just a warm-up, okay, guys? We cannot wait for a new government. We cannot wait for a charismatic politician to give us a speech. Now, those children there, they cannot wait another day to be safeguarded. And that's why it's important we are here today, and that's why it's really important that we come back. We come back with a new government. Our children have no voice. We are the children's voice. Amira, what do we say? You don't say it? Amira knows when she goes to school, privates are private. Yes, Amira? And what do we say to the teachers? Say no to RSC. Say no to RSC. So that's all I'm going to say on the issue of RSC now, guys. There's lots of brilliant speakers here for you today. I will come back on at the end of the day because I'm going to tie it all together for you, because there is a nasty surprise coming as well. The government has put through other legislation that we were not aware of, okay? There is a massive power grab coming on our children. They are they're putting infrastructure in place now to house children. But I will tie all that together for you later on. I'm going to pass you back over now to Lucia, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Kim. Brilliant speech as always. Yes, we know we have got lots of problems, not just in this country, it's worldwide. So I know there's lots of you here who are fighting a good fight. When people fight their own fights, we all come together. This is when we start making a difference. So well done to everyone who is fighting the good fights. I know there's lots of you here doing that. So now we're going to move on to our next speaker, and that is Rebecca from Too Much Too Young. So massive round of applause for Rebecca. We all know Rebecca, she's doing the good fight in England, and she's doing the same kind of work as what we're doing in Wales. So I'll pass you on to Rebecca. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. Hello everyone on this beautiful day in Cardiff. As Lucia just said, my name's Rebecca and I'm one of the spokespeople for Too Much Too Young. which is a group very similar to Public Child Protection Wales. We cover most of England, so we've got people in our group who are up and down the country, and I can tell you that this isn't just a Welsh problem, it isn't even just an English problem. We've now got people we work with from all across the world who are experiencing the exact same thing in their schools at the exact same time and feel the exact same way as we do about it, and we don't want it anymore. So yeah, this is definitely a global problem, and we've got the mums in our group complaining about it to prove it. So I speak quite often in my business, I spend a lot of time with children, and my main concern here is keeping children safe like the rest of you. So I found a little piece of writing yesterday when I was wondering what I was going to speak about today, and it's by a lady called Corrie ten Boom, who was a Dutch watchmaker and a Christian writer and public speaker. And I think this little piece of writing says basically what I'd like to say. So she was on a train with her father, and this is what she says. And so, seated next to my father in the train compartment, I suddenly asked, "Father, what is sex sin?" He turned to look at me as he always did when answering a question, but to my surprise he said nothing. At last he stood up, lifted his travelling case off the floor and set it on the floor. "Will you carry it off the train, Corrie?" he said. I stood up and tugged at it. It was crammed with watches and spare parts he had purchased that morning. "It's too heavy," I said. "Yes," he said, "and it would be a pretty poor father who would ask his little girl to carry such a load." It's the same way, Corrie, with knowledge. Some knowledge is too heavy for children. When you are older and stronger, you can bear it. For now, you must trust me to carry it for you. And that is basically what I think is happening to our children today in schools. Their little suitcases are being loaded with too much information, not only the RSE, but they fill their heads with worries about things that are happening in the world that as children they can't do anything about, they can't help with, and that's our job, in my opinion, as parents and adults, to carry knowledge, protect the children until they're old enough to bear the weight of the world on their shoulders. And it's causing them distress, it's going to cause confusion and upset, so
Someone say
that's why I
climate
do
change.
what I do, because at the minute we're not doing a very good job of protecting our country's children, and I hope in the future we can start to do better. So that's basically all I've got to say today. I am excited about some things we've got upcoming with Public Child Protection Wales. We might have found some new ways to move forward to hopefully protect our children. Always hopeful and optimistic that although we've been at this years, one day we will get there and our schools can be safe places for our kids again. So thank you everyone for listening. I'll pass you back to Lucia.
Well done, Rebecca. Thank you for that speech. Brilliant. And thank you as well for everyone at Too Much Too Young for all the work that you do over in England. Superb work. Thank you. Okay, so now our next speaker that I'm going to bring up, she's part of Public Child Protection Wales. You would have heard her speak many times live here. Well, most of the time though, you do see her on Facebook doing lives, and this is a very good speaker, someone who does a lot of research. So without further ado, let's welcome Kath Watkins.
It's nice to see you all here and it's nice to be back. Well, I'm going to talk just a little bit, and I have got to be careful because there are young ears around and this is a subject which is, you know, it's difficult. Alright then, thank you, yeah, just so I can say some things. Right, I'm obviously going to talk about that thing beginning with P, and I am going to call it explicit material if I remember to keep doing that as I'm moving forward. Now, there's absolutely no denying that children of all ages, and I mean very, very young ages, are exposed to explicit material. This is mainly because most people give their children a mobile phone device at a very young age, and regardless of any blocks and anything you may have on it, I can guarantee you they've seen it. Whether it's a pop-up, whether they clicked on something by mistake, they've seen it. Now the dangers are already there for adults with watching explicit material, especially heavily use of watching it that can turn into a form of addiction. When you've got children exposed to it, it wires their brains in such a way that it can cause them, and it does cause people to offend. And that's because of what we call desensitization. And we know this, I'm not going to go into all the details of all the experiments and things that they've done, but much like a chemical addiction, a drug addiction, where you build tolerance to it, so you need more of that drug to achieve the same high, because explicit material use runs along the same neural pathways, it does exactly the same thing. So you become desensitized to what you're watching, and you need something more violent, harder, more shocking, novelty. And this is why we've got just a whole myriad of the most depraved content that we've ever seen, and your children are actually seeing it. Now, from an educational point of view, I know, because I did my accreditation in RSE teacher training, so I'm aware of what is going on in the schools. In secondary schools, and if we were teaching the consequence of watching explicit material, then maybe that would be a different story. If we taught children, this is how it affects the brain, it's not just that it can isolate you and cause relationship problems and whatever else, it actually has a physical impact on you. If we were doing that, that would be a different story, because I just want to remind people that this industry is so powerful. And I mean, I used to say the medical industry was probably the most powerful, and it, obviously, as we know, it is very powerful, but this industry just takes the biscuit on top of that. For many different reasons, it is so powerful. So, could they take it down off the internet? Of course they could take it down on the internet. They can cancel anything in a click of a fingers. I don't know how many times I've been cancelled off the internet, but they will not take that down, and that's because they make a lot of money from it, and the intention behind it is to normalize it, so these paedophile policies that are all over the place through society and through the education system will sit right. So we're talking about really young children being shown this. By the time they even get to teenager years, they've already seen it. Some of them would have already tried it. Because of what I do, I get a lot of people who come to me about this issue, and I've had people where parents have been absolutely beside themselves because they don't know what to do. They've walked in on their 2 children in a sex act, and that's because they've been exposed to it. They wouldn't do it otherwise. Once it goes in there, just much like a little boy will shoot webs out of his hand and copy what Spider-Man does, they do copy what they see, and because the biological, physiological effect of that, they can become addicted to it and wires their brains in a certain way. Now, I know that in those schools, they're not teaching the consequence of explicit material viewing. They're teaching them, they kind of have this attitude is, look, they're exposed to it anyway, so we'll just kind of teach them, run alongside it and teach them which one is good for you. Choose which one is good for you. We all know about teaching them how to choke. I think this was School of Sexuality Education, because obviously we've got the different organisations that deal with this, to teach children how to choke their partners safely. Thousands of people die from what they call sexual misadventure every year. That's part of that. They should be teaching them you don't do it at all. Not there's a safe way to do it. So it's a sex positive education, and that runs alongside the pornography side of it. And what we are now seeing is, and most people that have sort of ended up on these child pornography sites, because that's where it goes as well, when they're in recovery, because some people go to recovery for it, something like between 85 and 90% of them state that they didn't start off like that. They started off watching normal adult porn and they got bored. In other words, they became desensitized and they needed something more shocking. And that's also the case for sexual offending as well. A lot of the time they've been exposed to explicit material, and we know 90% of explicit material is violent. So you've got these children growing up thinking that this is the way that they need to behave. It is really, I can't even explain how dangerous it is. Sometimes it keeps me up at night because I'm well aware that these children with these devices have got it anyway on their phone, but then within the school education system they're kind of saying, well, it is okay, you know, just make sure you stay on this side or make sure you stay on this side. And it's not okay. It's not okay because it's turning some people into sexual offenders. And now you've got, most people think that a sexual offender is an adult, and there are a lot of adults who sexually offend, but actually they're becoming younger and younger and younger, and in some places the average age of the sexual offender is now a teenager, meaning the victim's average age is 7 years old, because a teenager will choose a younger victim, and neither of them really understand what they're doing because their brains are not even developed yet. So you're putting this material in front of them, they're acting out on it, it's becoming normalised. Then we got things like, well, we'll teach them consent. So now you're stuck in a place of grooming where they've been shown it and desensitised by it, and they think that they're making that decision to go with a 30-year-old man, a 12-year-old girl, because they love them, because they've been told that they can consent to this. It's really, really dangerous, and what I would suggest that people do, it's very difficult, because if you've got a very young child, to try and educate them on it, it's difficult, isn't it? How do you sort of talk about it to them without exposing it to them at the same time? It's really difficult. As a teenager, you can explain the consequence of it. You know, it does affect your relationships. It will affect your relationships. It'll affect your own individuality. You'll become, especially addictions to it, people become isolated from it. But it'll waste your brain away. It wastes away the prefrontal cortex, literally. It's not, when you look at the scallop in brains, if you look at a brain scan, this actually shocked me, but what you'll find is a brain that's addicted to explicit material is more scalloped than a heroin or crack cocaine addict. And that's frightening. That's frightening. So they're losing that ability to be even human. And this is why we see some of the things that we see as so sadistic, is because they've lost that part of what it means to be human. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much into that because it is a very depressing subject. But I just want to say, if you can educate your children on it in some way, I would suggest educating the consequence of seeing it. Maybe that will pull them off actually watching it. And we are actually doing at some point, hopefully this year, like a 12-step program for children who are already addicted to it, because there are 11, 12, 13-year-olds addicted to explicit material, and we have to reel that back in somehow. So we are working with child psychiatrists and other people as well, and trying to put some sort of training together, 12-step program to bring the children back and bring them back to normal. So thank you for listening, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath. That was a great speech. Thank you. Thank you for all your knowledge and imparting your knowledge with us as well. Because we are told consistently, aren't we, that drinking is bad for you, drugs is bad for you, but we are never told, and I didn't actually know this until we sort of learned it from Kath, how damaging explicit content is to the brain, and it affects our decision-making tools. So it's very bad all round. But we're not told about it. It's not normal to be telling people how bad it is, because, as Kath said, this industry is a very powerful industry. It's a very rich industry, and follow the money. That's what they want to do. Encourage people from a young age to watch this kind of filth, which is what we want to stop. We need to be stopping this in its tracks and stop it going any further than it already has gone. So, our next speaker, you would have definitely heard our next speaker speak, because he has come to many of our protests. Brilliant speaker, and also a brilliant researcher like Kath. So our next speaker, I can't see him actually. Where is he? Nigel, where are you? Ah, you're hiding there. So if we can have a massive round of applause for Nigel Thorne. Woo!
Thank you, Lucia. Good afternoon, everybody. It was almost 3 years ago that I was standing on these steps and raging against the ideology being pushed into Welsh schools. In the intervening 3 years, nothing much has changed. So I'm going to be blunt today. Because if we live in ungodly times, we need to use godly language. So this Welsh Labour government,
Well articulated.
this Welsh Labour government and their Plaid Cymru acolytes are not following Christ, they're following the Antichrist. And they're displaying his flag next to the Union Jack today. In 2023, the LGBTQ+ action plan was published. The Q stands for queer. And in queer theory, queer is defined as anything in opposition to the normal. Queer is a very broad church. On the panel that produced the plan was Professor Emma Reynolds from Cardiff University. An academic who has been influenced by the writings of a French philosopher who denies that there is any connection between language and reality.
Academic is an interesting term.
Professor Reynolds denies Christ. Words mean whatever Professor Reynolds chooses them to mean.
Good point.
And in order to achieve her stated goal of queering your children's childhood by dissolving the binary opposition between male and female, your children will be taught that gender is not a synonym for sex, but relates to how they feel inside. Queer is a very broad church. Also on the panel was Stonewall matriarch Lisa Power, a woman who had the audacity to describe us as a far-right, QAnon-type, conspiracy theorist group. Lisa Power was an expert witness at a Vale of Glamorgan Council meeting where a transgender inclusion toolkit was approved. The toolkit stated, although the individual in question has the body of a boy, they are in every other way a girl.
Except
This is a dangerous Gnostic heresy. We cannot be in the wrong body because we are our body. But queer is a very broad church. Referenced in the plan was an article by trans-identified male Florence Ashley, who, in his latest book, describes in graphic detail his various sexual encounters. Ashley writes, I love trans girls. I love them so much, I make trans girls. The fact that the Welsh Government regard this individual as a credible authority on the social transitioning of children is indicative of how far they have moved from our Christian cultural heritage.
Very true.
The Gospel tells us, whoever causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them if they had a large millstone hung around their neck and were drowned in the depths of the sea. But queer is a very broad church. In the plan, the Welsh Government affirm their commitment to making Wales the most LGBTQ+ friendly nation in Europe. The organisation that collates those rankings is generously funded by groups who have ties with companies that profit from the medicalisation of young bodies. The Gospel tells us you cannot serve both God and money.
That's right.
But queer is a very broad church. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not enraged by the ideologies pushed into children's minds, then you do not know what is going on. This Welsh Labour government and their Plaid Cymru acolytes do not serve Christ, they serve the Antichrist. So make your voices heard today, and in the name of all that is holy, when it comes to the election in May, make sure you vote these Satanists out of power!
Brilliant, thank you, Nigel. As always, a fantastic speech, and yes, always worthwhile coming to watch Nigel. Thank you for that. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, I just want to sort of remind you all actually that there are some books here at the front that Too Much Too Young have bought to demonstrate the kinds of literature that's being taught in the schools. So throughout the course of the afternoon, feel free to come and take a look. So yeah, that's just on the middle table here. Okay, so next speaker now, we have got, well, for the first time speaking at one of our protests actually, it's going to be Jen, so massive round of applause for Jen. She's got a few things to cover, and yeah, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Lucia. Hi everyone, what a beautiful day to be up in Cardiff. I just wish it was under different circumstances. I just like, you know, what is going on? What's going on in Wales? Do you wake up every morning and you see different things going on? I'm learning things every day. I learned today, coming up in the car from my hometown of Glynneath, that they'd spent 4 million for 36 extra seats in that building. 4 million, sorry? 120 million. Wow, 120 million. I could have done it for 200 quid. Bring a few chairs in. I mean, what are these people on? Well, you know, they're in government and they're deciding things for you. That's right. And your children and your future generations. And it's wrong, they're not listening. They don't want to come out here and debate with decent people who know what they're talking about. You know, it's a common sense party we need. But we've got a common sense party. We've got the Heritage Party right now. We've got David Curtin, and let me tell you, I was in the Reform Party. Yeah, I was in the Reform Party for 2 years, and never once did anybody answer any of my questions. I was an interim chair for 9 months, and I didn't hold a meeting because we weren't organised. And this is how they disorganise things in Wales. They just leave you hanging on the bravado that they're going to do good, but they're not there to do good. I can speak for David Curtin. What a wonderful, wonderful guy he is. What a wonderful man, and I mean that with all sincerity. The guy, he answers every question. I mean, you don't get nothing from these people. You just don't. I'm here to speak about the Wellbeing Bill. Have you heard of the Wellbeing Bill? They bring him through now. Just quickly, let me tell you about who we're being governed by at the moment in the UK. We're being governed by Keir Starmer, as you all know.
Boo.
When Keir Starmer,
Boo this man.
He was the leader in the criminal justice system. And Keir Starmer in 2012 agreed that not all paedophiles should be imprisoned. Can you believe that? Not all child rapists should be imprisoned. You need to listen to that, because that's where we're heading. This is who these people are taking their orders from. In 2014, Sir Keir Starmer was knighted.
Ew.
How many knights do you know that are wrong ones?
Yeah, that's right.
The lot of them.
Yeah.
a lot of them. So my plan, and the rest of the girls that have joined Heritage, because let me tell you, there's no other party to get behind right now. I'm not going to go on about it too much, okay, because I'm not here for that. But you need to get behind it. Because in order to beat these people and get these people out of their seats, Amen. To get some order back in this country, to stop everything, you need people like David Curtin to stand up for you and stand up for your children. You know, it's not fair. I could go on about anything. I can go on about the chemtrails. It was a sunny day when I came up here this morning. But hey ho, I'm not a psychic, but I know it's going to rain later or tomorrow. So we look at the Well-Being Children's Bill. And what is it? What is the Well-Being Children's Bill? It sounds brilliant for children, but it's not. It's not. Because let me tell you, if they bring this bill through today, if they vote on this, and don't forget, we've got people in here, you've got Carolyn Harris MP, who voted against an investigation into the rape gangs. Because Carolyn Harris MP believes that there's not enough gang raping in Wales. Well, let's start with the schools then. Let's start with the indoctrination of children in schools then, and grooming children in schools. What is that? Because if you look around on all these billboards right now, you'll be disgusted. And when Kat was speaking earlier, I know Kat was speaking earlier and she didn't want to speak in front of the children. Why not? The teachers haven't got a problem speaking in front of the children about this filth, because that's what it is. There was nothing wrong with growing up in the 60s, 70s and not knowing everything. Children are meant to be innocent. Children know everything now. They've got the iPads, they've got everything, but we are giving them to them. It's our fault. Okay, I'm here for the young mothers, because you can't see this coming. There's a lot of people my generation here today, and we see it. We can see it plain. We see everything wrong with the world today. But we're here for the young mothers. We're starting out with young children. You need to get this stuff really quick. So, the well-being bill. And what's the importance of this bill? Well, it's being rubber stamped through, and it's basically been brought through, so you think it's a good idea. I'm only learning this stuff. We don't get time to discuss this and write things down and prepare for these. Well, I certainly don't. This is my first time speaking for PCPW, and I'm absolutely distraught every day when I hear the type of things coming through these places. I know you feel the same. I know the people here today feel the same. The bill is vague. It's very vague. It's politically loaded and will restrict certain freedoms. And you better believe that. If you think this country, do you trust anyone in that building to bring any bill through for you when you can see the filth they're already allowing for your children from 3 years of age? Why would you trust these people? That's right. Why would you trust them? I don't trust them. I really don't. Thank you. I could go on, but I know there's other people coming to speak today. There'll be other days, because let me tell you, we're not finished. We're not finished by far. We need to stop the thing. We need to stop the euthanasia bill, the suicide bill coming through today, because that's going to be awful for you people. That's really going to be devastating. You need to look into it. You need to do your own research. Don't listen to anything I say up here, because I'm learning. You need to look into it yourself, but please look. Because these people,
state-sponsored
they're
murder
going over our heads. They're going over your children's heads. And they'll have your children locked up in a room before you know it.
That's right.
And they'll be ruined for life. It's already bad enough for them now. But please, please, please start your own research and please join us and come to every protest. You can make it. I speak to people every day in the village. I speak to my children. 2 of my children, they haven't got a clue what's going on. I think it's because I go on about it too much. I think I do their heads in. But they haven't got a clue. So they think I'm going through the menopause. I'm going too early. So I've got to keep calm. I've got to take sunflower seeds. You know, because it's a crazy time, honestly. My children are grown up now. It's your children I'm fighting for now. It's not mine. Because it's worse now than it was for us in the 80s.
Absolutely.
So if anything, and this kills me, right? It kills me every time I've been at this place. You look in there and you can't see one of them. They're all hiding. They're hiding from you. They're terrified. I'd love anyone to stand up in there today to come out here and debate any one of us on anything. But they won't. And they can hear us. They can hear us. They know this is going on. They're terrified. We terrify them. But they better make the most of what's going on in there and make the most of their salaries. Because they're not going to have it for long. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lucia. Thank you, darling.
Take care. Brilliant, thank you. That was incredible. Well done, Jen. You did really well. Yeah, a bit of comedy as well. That's what we like. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Jen, for that good speech and awareness. And as Jen said, you know, we as speakers that come up here can raise awareness and tell you about things that are happening, but it is really up to you to do your own research and really look into it, because it's only then you'll realise how bad things are or how bad things are going to get as well. So yeah, thank you for that, Jen. Our next speaker now is, wow, we have actually heard his name already from Jen. Jen did mention him. And he's doing fantastic work. He has his own political party. And so without further ado, let me introduce David Curtin from the Heritage Party.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you so much, everyone. It's so kind of you to welcome me back to Cardiff. It's really lovely to see so many of you who are standing up for what's good and standing up for what's righteous. And many of you know me as a politician, which is quite bizarre because I never intended to go into politics and start a party. But there I have started the Heritage Party. But before I was in politics, I was actually a teacher. And I was a teacher for about 17 years. And I used to teach science. And I never thought science could be corrupted. So it's so bizarre to me to see over the last 10 years especially, science has been completely turned on its head by people who are not scientists at all and are now teaching young people unscientific guff. They're not teaching them the facts that there are 2 sexes and you're male and female at birth. They're teaching them this rubbish that there's 79 genders or something. But the thing is, that is absolute rubbish. And we need to stand up for what is scientifically true, as well as what is morally right. We are in a Christian country, and I have no problem in saying that we need to re-establish our Christian foundations and principles again. And what everyone would have agreed with 20 or 30 years ago is just very simple. We let children be children. Let children be children. Don't impose on them things which they cannot cope with because they don't have the faculties to deal with it that adults can do. And you certainly don't impose and try to put onto children perverse things, adult things, sexual things, and sexualized children. That would just be seen as common sense that you don't do perverse things like that. And yet over the last 10 years we've seen that happen in country after country around the world, and in the UK it's been brought in by Labour in this building behind me. Well, I'm here with the Heritage Party to kick Labour out. In England it was brought in by the Conservatives. They're no better. Well, I'm here to kick the Conservatives out. And when I was in the London Assembly, as I was for 5 years, I actually spoke on a motion which was brought jointly by Labour and the Greens to say that all schools should have LGBT inclusive relationships and sex education from children down to the ages of 4. Well, I've already said I'm going to kick Labour out, but I'm here to kick the Greens out as well. And I'm also here to kick Plaid out and the Lib Dems out, because that's the uniparty that is imposing perversity, and we don't just want to get rid of them, we want to get rid of the perversity that they're bringing to Wales, and we want to restore decency to our schools and to our children. And there's nothing more noble than that. And thank you all for being here, to stand up, to just come out in public and say, and be a witness to say, we want to restore what is good, what is righteous, what is beautiful, what is noble, and to undo all these perverse things which are happening. It should just be blatant, obvious common sense. When I was in the London Assembly, I'll go back to that moment again, it was 2019, and I spoke quite reasonably for a minute to say that parents are the primary educators of their children, and we should uphold traditional family values and science, biological sex, something that all normal people would agree with. And then the Greens and the Labour together stood up one by one and they condemned me. The Labour woman said, "This is disgusting." And I've actually said something that, well, actually teaching children perverse things is disgusting. You see how they invert things. And this has no place in politics. My sensible views about protecting children. And then the Green woman stood up to condemn me, and then even the Conservatives stood up to condemn me, and they all clapped each other, applauded each other for condemning my opposition to LGBT relationships and sex education for children from 4 or 5 years old. So you can see where we are. And when I first started in politics, it was just the most bizarre thing, this transgenderism idea. I thought, when I first heard it, I was I went to speak in a school in North London, 2016. And I was just teaching, well, I was actually talking about Brexit, which is a different issue. And one of the children, a sixth former, stood up and said, "Don't you think that your heteronormative ideas are hurtful to people who aren't that?" And I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? But this 16, 17-year-old girl had obviously been brainwashed by the personal health and social education classes that she'd been involved in the school, which is why she'd been programmed to react in that particular way to what I was saying. And I thought, well, how on earth can she be like this? But this will never catch on in wider society. But it has done very, very quickly. But the great thing is that there's been so much pushback against it. I think people have drawn a red line. And they said, this is enough, no further. But we need to not just stay no further, we need to push back and take back all of the territory that these cultural Marxists and these Fabians and this World Economic Forum promoters of Agenda 2030 have pushed over us, and take back all of their ground until they are gone. And I'm not going to stop until they're gone. And I know you're not going to stop until they're gone. And do you know what we're going to do in May? We're going to stand candidates for the Heritage Party in every single constituency in Wales for the Senedd, so we can get representation here and we can stand up for our kids, for our children, and make sure that no perverts mess with their minds or their bodies ever again. Are you with me? Are you going to kick them out? Yes. Thank you very much. Join me, please. Join me to stand on May the 7th. Let's make it happen. Let's take Wales back, and let's restore dignity and righteousness to this land. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate that. Brilliant, brilliant speech. Excellent. So we all need the Heritage Party in Wales. Wales needs the Heritage Party. So yes, that is a little bit of glimmer of hope there, that there are politicians out there that are actually common sense. So thank you for that. We're going to move on now to our next speaker. The subject is slightly changed, but it's all about the schools. So if we can just have a massive round of applause for Julie. Sorry, let's call you Jenna. So Julie's going to be talking about the ALN issues in schools. So massive round of applause, please. Woo!
Hi guys, it's a beautiful day. The sun is out for us all because we know what we're speaking is the truth. I'm not, as was said, I'm not speaking for RSC or LGBTQ plus times 8 or whatever it's called. I'm here to speak about ALN, and I don't know if you understand what that means. It's additional learning needs. So for anybody who has a child or a family member with ADHD, dyslexia, any disability, raise your hands. Right, so this is very relevant to you. This is my personal story, basically, my son's story. I'm a mum of 4, so I got a little bit of experience with raising children.
So as I missed part of that,
but my youngest son was
a lot of hands went up for the question.
Everything was fine until he went to comp.
About additional learning needs, by the way.
The first couple of weeks, he started getting sanctions, which is like punishments. And he was having punishments for things like not completing his work, arm wrestling in class, being late to lesson. So by October, I started questioning the school about these sanctions, but what I found is once you start questioning authority, you start getting targeted. They couldn't target me, so they started targeting my son. So these punishments got worse and worse. I wrote to these lovely people in here to ask if they've ever done an analysis on whether sanctions and punishments within schools for children with dyslexia or ALN actually work. There has been no analysis on this. So under the new ALN code, which is only here in Wales, the children have to have an IDP, which is a development plan, to support them within the classroom. So I thought, oh, happy days. I went into the school and asked for this plan. No, they don't do that. Even though it's on their policy, there was nobody governing this. The local authority didn't want to know. The only reason they gave my child this development plan at the end was when I went on the radio and actually asked the Education Minister, Jeremy Miles, about the IDPs. The day after, he was given an IDP. Well, cut long story short, his mental health was deteriorating to a point that he was punching himself in the face. He didn't want to live any longer. He said, what is the point? He said, I can't understand. I'm in school, I'm getting punished, I don't understand the work. At that point then I knew I had to remove him, otherwise it would be a different story. So I actually took the school to tribunal.
Well done, Jill.
On my own, I didn't have any legal rep, I just got to navigate the system. So this tribunal hearing took place. I was on my own in this hearing against the head, deputy head, 2 teachers, and obviously the tribunal panel. And I actually won the case. It was found. Okay, I'm going to say this. The headmaster at the time is a very controversial headmaster. He's been in the press quite a lot because he attacked his deputy head with a spanner. But that headmaster actually said about me that the woman is unhinged.
Fantastic choice of words.
But, well, when I won the case, that's all they had to do was give a letter of apology, train their staff and update their procedures and policies, so no discrimination was taking place. I had the letter of apology hand-delivered to my house by the school cleaner. She's on my ring doorbell and delivering. Well, anyway, the school weren't happy with having extra training for their staff, so what they'd done was then employed a barrister to appeal the tribunal's decision. So first of all, I panicked because I'm not legally trained. I had to go up against a barrister, but luck has it, God works in mysterious ways. Because on the day I gave my skeleton argument back to the headmaster, he decided to hit his deputy over the head with a spanner. So that was my story. I've just come up here with a couple of stats for you because I can't remember. The previous speakers were brilliant and they didn't read anything. So I just want to say the government now, they realise there's an ALN crisis taking place. So they have proposed £20 million and it's like, whoa, that's a lot of money. But when you work out the figures, there's 22 local authorities. There's 1,470 schools. So you do the maths, they are providing 13,605 per school to sort out an ALN crisis. I just don't want people to feel alone and think they go through this on their own. There are thousands of children out there that don't want to go to school every day because they've got... Oh, the battery's going, so I'll make it quick.
So there's £150 million was the figure. So that's what's happening at the moment, guys. The microphone is dying. So I think they're just going to see if they can sort a replacement.
Yeah. Right, I'll read out a couple of stats. I don't want to bore you with all this. Right, so England spent £150 million defended tribunal claims. £150 million. There's no data in Wales. So why don't we want data? Why can't we find out how much our Welsh government is spending? Homeschooling has nearly tripled.
That's
okay?
Right. That's right.
Understandable.
They've got to ask why. Why is homeschool going up? Last year, there were 4,000 fines in Wales for low attendance. Instead of them speaking to the children and the parents to find out why, they are just fining. There were 835 prosecutions of parents that their children had low attendance.
Terrible.
So they're criminalising parents because they're struggling to get their children into school. Persistent absence is anything under 90%. I've been looking at my local authority of Neath Talbot Council, and out of the 10 secondary schools, 8 of them are under 90% attendance. So how many hundreds of children are failing to go to school and the parents are getting prosecuted? So the travelling community gets targeted the most. I know there's a case coming up now next month of a traveller dad and he's being prosecuted. Me and Kim have just dealt with one case and the single dad of 3 have been fined over £400 because he's struggling to get his child into school. No, exactly.
Why would you want to
So
send
our
them to these
schools are at breaking point. Billions of pounds are being pumped into education, but they're getting it all wrong. The mental health has doubled in the last 20 years, and now 1 in 5 of our children are self-harming, thinking of suicide. The fines and prosecutions are not rectifying this, and there's thousands of suicides. Right, I'm going to end on a good note. My son, after I took him out to school, he had a chance to recover and he decided he wanted to go back, but he's got a tutor twice a week and he does military prep on a Tuesday and he's loving it. But I just want parents to know that they are not alone when they go into this with their kid.
That's right,
and there is help out there. Woo! Thank you for listening to my story.
Right then guys, we just got to move our car, so I'm your host for a minute. So we're going to get Catherine back up now guys, and Catherine's going to talk a little bit more on the medical side of things, which does include schools as well, Gaelic competence and things like that. I won't go into what she's going to talk about, I'll allow her to say it, but you need to listen up guys, okay? It's not just the education, it's the health as well of our children, and this is being they're being attacked on this in schools. So here she is, Catherine's back.
Oh, look at that, twice in one day. Right, well I'm going to go back to my roots a little bit here, because I think probably most of you know me originally from shouting very loudly about the vaccine industry. I've been doing that since I was pregnant with my daughter nearly 16 years ago. So I do know a lot about this industry, and I'm not going to go into the ins and outs because I think everybody here probably knows, you know, we know what's going on there. Since the last 5 years has really opened people's eyes. But what I do want to talk about is the propaganda that they're pushing out there. Now, they've always done this anyway. The propaganda's always there. Every time you see a fear campaign because
little Susie didn't have her measles jab and she got ill or whatever, is usually because, especially these days, is because the good side of this, I suppose, is because they've got low uptake of that particular vaccine. So the only way to pull you in is to put a fear campaign out there to frighten you into doing it. And the only way that you can really sort of navigate this is by educating yourself. But that aside, the propaganda that they're putting into schools is absolutely horrendous. Now, I've never had to deal with this, thankfully, because my daughter's home educated, always has been. Even so, from the minute she was born, I think she's probably heard the ins and outs of that industry anyway, so they wouldn't catch her on the off chance. But for the younger children, it's a straightforward no. If you choose no, then you are the adult, you are the one giving, you know, sort of responsible for that child, and what you say goes. They need your consent. Now it gets more tricky when you come up to secondary school age. They've been very, very sneaky with how they've done this, and they've changed it over a period of time. Years ago, you know, when they have the HPV and they have the TB jab and whatever, it was still a consent form. You still had to ask the parent for consent, and they would answer yes or no, and that would be it. But because of the pushback from the general population, and, you know, finding out that they're dangerous and they don't want their children to be vaccinated, they've really put their feet down. So in some cases, I've heard with the younger ones, actually, because they have, this is a nasal spray, isn't it, for the little ones? And what I've been told is that whereas before you would have the consent form, tick yes, tick no, they haven't even got a no option on there anymore. So they've just got tick yes. So I always say to people, don't send them in. Don't send them in, because they're too little to make, do you know what I mean? Just don't send them in. Write on there in massive letters, no, don't send them in. When they get older, there's a little, and I've had cases like this where the parent has come to me and they've been absolutely distraught because they have said no for their teenager to have the HPV vaccine, for example. But there's a little clause on that consent form underneath in small writing, which says if the child is what they call Gillick competent, then they can override your decision. Now, Gillick competency is something that came in with the medical industry a couple of decades ago, and it basically says if the child is of sound mind, so, you know, they're not vulnerable in any way, and they're capable of, you know, sort of seeing the risks and the benefits of a medical procedure, they can make that decision. Now, they like to use Gillick competency in two ways, because it was a year ago, over a year ago.
Oh, just a year ago.
A year ago. Sorry, time is going really strange. Exactly. So they're saying on the one hand, yeah, if your child wants to override your decision as a Gillick competent, I don't even know how they work this out, to be honest, but anyway, a Gillick competent 12-year-old can say, yeah, I do want to have that vaccine even though my mum said no. But then a 15-year-old girl who's Gillick competent can't say no to a forced mastectomy. And this is what we went to a case, went to the Royal Courts of Justice for this case just over a year ago. Got mum here today, actually. And this young girl obviously she's Gillick competent, she's 15, so she's 3 years past what they deem as Gillick competent, but they're deciding she shouldn't make her own decision. So they use it both ways. But I can tell you now, as fact, when it comes to vaccination, if that child overrides your consent, they are going to vaccinate that child. So what they do in schools is they've been doing this for a couple of years. So we're, you know, sending your child, they tell you when the vaccination is going to take place, it's on so-and-so date, blah, blah, blah. I used to say, don't bother sending them in. Don't bother sending them in unless your child is educated to a level to understand to say no, because otherwise they're going to get scared into it. And then what was happening is a couple of days after, they would send the nurses in to pull your child out and say, you do realise that if you get HPV, you could get cancer and die. Now that, I would just if that was my child, I'd blow my lid. But like I say, my child knows. But most children don't know that. So if they're sat down and they're faced with, you could die, you are able to make that decision, you're a sound man, you can make that decision even though mum and dad said no. So I have had people come to me fuming where they've said no and their child is overridden. It's not the child's fault. It's not the child's fault. And it's even, I mean, there's a two-sided coin to this, but it's even not the medical professional fault either, and I'll tell you why. They're not taught anything about vaccines in medical school, so unless they've gone and done their own research into it, they believe what they're being told is true. So they believe that they're telling that child the right information.
right? So you've got the ones that know kind of don't push. So you've got that side of it. But what I would suggest is, when it comes to these procedures, and it's a medical procedure, any medical procedure, you are supposed to know the risks and the benefits. You're supposed to know both. Now, when it comes to vaccines, they're safe and effective, safe and effective, safe. That's all we use, like a mantra, safe and effective, safe and effective. Until they're not, yeah, absolutely. Now, what I mean, just briefly, just give you a couple of points to go on. I know most of you probably know this, but anyone who's watching at home, the safe one you can blow out of the water in 2 ways. Number one, they've got a vaccine compensation scheme in every single country. It's a government scheme. They don't like to shout about it, but you can go and Google it, and they pay out very quietly for the people who do know about it and who do go through those processes. The other one is the package insert. Now, that is your informed consent. The package insert is in the box of the vaccine, and doctors don't like to give that. They'll make up an excuse like, well, we can't really use, because if we open the box, this, that, and the other. So doctors' surgeries tends to have their own sort of laminated piece of paper about what they believe and their opinion. I don't want that. I want the manufacturer's package insert, which lists all the side effects on it. You can get copies of them online, but they're not as comprehensive as the ones on the box. You take them out, open it up, it drops to the floor, tiny writing. Most of it is jargon, but you will see the side effects on there, and one of them is death. So when they say safe, how safe does it need to be? How much bee venom does it take to cause anaphylaxis? And I'll give you an example, because they'll say it's rare. Yeah, all right, it does happen, but it's rare. Okay then, if a teacher's got 30 kids in their class and she got 30 cupcakes and one of them's poisoned, but she don't know which one, would you let your child eat any of the cupcakes? Wouldn't do it. Doesn't matter how rare it is, if it's your child, and it's actually not as rare as they make out. So these are the things you need to be looking at. Your informed consent is, you can find if you're ballsy enough and got enough confidence, you will go into the doctors and say, I want to see it out of the box. If not, go online, look for the vaccine, you'll find the package insert, educate yourself there, go on the government website. It's a government website, so no one in there, no one anywhere can argue with you. And that's your informed consent. That's what I would do. And while we're on, the subject of that, I spent years and years and years going down every vaccine, every ingredient, everything, the whole industry, which I am grateful for, because I do know a lot about it, but I kind of feel like I wasted my time a little bit, because all you really have to do is just take 2 of those ingredients out of the 60 contaminants in any vaccine and just research the toxicology of those. And you'll be like, well, does my child need to have aluminium injected into them? Do they need to have aborted fetal tissue into them? Do they need to have diseased monkey kidney in there? What's the purpose? Do they need to have formaldehyde, which is a carcinogen, and the National Institute of Health, this is what they embalm dead bodies with, tells you to stay well away from it, wear a mask, don't breathe it in. But you can inject it into your baby, no problem. So that's what I suggest that people do, just as a, as a research point. If you don't know, research 1 or 2 of the ingredients, look at the manufacturer's package insert, because that is your informed consent. If you have any medical procedure, they will tell you both. Well, it's an invasive medical procedure. It's an invasive medical procedure, so you should be having the informed consent, but you're not going to get it directly from your medical, your doctor, not usually. I'd be very surprised if they told you that, but you can get it. So look for them online. And obviously when it comes to the school, make sure, and the last thing, absolutely vital, when you find out about it, educate your children. Empower them, because they're the ones who's got to come up against it. They really are. And once you've educated a child, and you can do it at their pace, it doesn't have to be complicated, then you know that if you send them in after they've, administered the vaccines, they're able to stand their ground and say, absolutely not, because I know that this is damaging. I know that this can cause brain damage. So that Gillick competency, then, they can't argue it. But that's what they're using, so be very, very careful, because they use it, pick and choose when they want to use it, and they will use it when it comes to vaccines. If your child says yes, I guarantee you, they will do it. They will do it. So yeah, once you know, get your kids to learn with you. Well, that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, thank you for listening, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath. That was amazing. Thank you for that. As I said before, Kath is an amazing researcher. She loves to find out more information. She likes to go down all those rabbit holes that people don't know about. So thank you for that, Kath, really appreciate it. And wow, I can't believe how fast this afternoon is going actually, because we've had everybody up speaking apart from our final talk. So thank you so much for everyone who's stayed here and for all the speakers, because you've really imparted some great knowledge today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our last speaker, Kimberly Isherwood. Woo, woo, woo.
Right guys, I'm going to deliver one last bit of bad news, and then I'm going to deliver some really good news, right? Some tools that we're using to fight back. So I just want to start with, does anyone here remember the scandal with the care homes in Wales? With the politicians raping our children? Can anyone remember how many convictions we had? Well, I can tell you there was over 700 allegations according to the Waterhouse report, and we had a handful of convictions. From that time when they exposed the care homes, ownership of the care homes went from local authority to private. I am not saying things improved, okay? They did not improve. Children were still being trafficked, but in a different way, right? But I don't want to go down that road now. I just want to explain that our children went from ownership of the local authority to private, and now all of a sudden, this government year, March last year, has legislated to take control of all children's care homes. They have done it under the guise of taking profit out of care. So they raped and assaulted our children over decades. Nobody went to prison for it. Now all of a sudden they want control again. So we know the shift from public to private was because of the sex scandal, but they claim it was because they couldn't afford to run the care homes. So what's changed? What's changed? If they couldn't afford it then, how can they afford it now? I'll tell you what's changed. RSE. New legislations in school. The schools bill. The schools bill is legislating school attendance orders where your children will be forced back into school. If you do not abide with our school attendance order, the local authority is coming. Now, Catherine told you about this case with our child we had who was going to have a forced mastectomy on her healthy breast. Not only was they going to force a mastectomy on her, but they were going to remove her and her younger sister from her mother's care in order to do so. The local authority social services are acting as government agents, okay? That is what I do on a daily basis. I deal with family court cases, and I have done for 20 years. You will not hear me speaking about them because obviously there's gagging orders on this case. I will get done for contempt of court. If I start speaking about my cases, I can no longer go and defend another children, right? I see this on a daily basis. Julie told you about the school fines. I've seen that on a daily basis as well. What Julie forgot to mention was, there's one man on in court next month. For days, his child was not even timetabled to be there, okay? So when parents are not doing what the schools want them to do, the schools are bringing in social services. When parents are not doing what the NHS want them to do, the NHS is bringing in social services. Social services now have these new powers. They are building care homes right now. They are buying new properties, building new properties. Why do they want these spaces for our children? Why? We should be reducing the number of children in care. Why are they planning for more? Because of the education and us defying them. Because of the NHS and us defying them. They are now testing our children in school to see what level of a conspiracy theorist their parent is. So that's what they've done, guys. They've legislated full control of all services surrounding our children. Education, health, and social care. What are we going to do? What can we do about that? We've got no rights of education. They took us to court. Well, we took them to court, but they proved in court that we've got no rights of education. We've got no rights to protect our children. We can't even take their mobile phone off them as a punishment because that is wrong in the eyes of the social services. If you ground your child, that's loss of liberty. That is against the law as well. We have got no control. We can't even stand up and protect our own children. Or can we? We can. Because I'm also part of another group called Meath Talbot Council Audit Group, NPT CAG. And we first discovered this new change of law of these care homes when we were watching our own government, our own council. And we thought it was just our council. But when we look deeper, it's the whole of the country. So what you find here in Wales, Wales are building care homes. The same things happen in England, only in England they are offering people £10,000 per child for these care homes, for these foster placements. It is happening, guys. There's a power grab of our children. Why do they want our children? Where are we going to be? If they build these establishments for our children, where are we going to be then? That's what we need to think about. But what we've done in the Meath Talbot Council Audit Group is, do you know what? We are sick of them legislating against us. Sick of it. We're not following consultations. We are not informed of new legislative changes. Do you know what we've done? We've developed our own piece of legislation. We've written our own. We want to legislate against them. And that's what we've got there. We've got some leaflets there I want you to look at, right guys? And when I leave here, I'm going to put a post on Public Child Protection Wales Facebook with a couple of links for these different bills, and I want you guys to get behind them, okay? This new bill we have written is called the Child Protection and Community Oversight Bill. And the whole idea behind this is to give us control. For us to govern local authority, for us to govern the schools, for us to help the children with the ALN issues that are not getting the support. So we've produced this bill, we're going to put it through a proper consultation, you know, like they're supposed to do. We are doing it. We don't have to be sat in there to do that. We can do it sat here. Because policy should be for the people. The power in the country should come from the people. The people should be representing the people. And they should be ordinary people, but they're not. So this Child Protection and Community Oversight Bill, like I said, it gives us control. We will be the ones the ordinary parents can come to. When we find documents and reports that have been falsified, we will be the ones to action the criminal investigation for false instrument. So you can read this legislation, guys, for yourselves, right? And there are changes to be made, like I said, we're going to put through consultation. We want you guys to get involved. Any changes you want to make, we'll make together. We'll have regular meetings, and this is what we want to drive through when the next government comes in. The Child Protection and Community Oversight Bill. Are we going to get it? If we really want it, we will. If we really want it, we can get whatever we want. We've just got to work for it. We're going to do what they are supposed to do, but we're going to do it out here. And only when we agree on the wording of that bill will we make history, because it's the first time in Wales the community, the residents have ever come together to write their own child protection legislation. So on the note of legislation as well, I'm going to jump topics now. So that's the local authority, and that's the Child Protection Bill for Wales. I'm going to jump topics now, guys, because we've spoken a lot about the sex education. Rebecca's been up to speak as well. Rebecca did touch briefly on the fact that we have joined an international task force. So what we are doing in April, guys, we in Wales, we are hosting different groups from all around the world. We've got groups flying from Australia, Canada, New Zealand, America and Southern Ireland. They will be here in Wales, stood shoulder to shoulder with us in our conference on the 18th of November, just outside Newport. Oh, April. November. It's in April, not November. November's not even a significant date for me. So that's what we're going to do. They're coming over, but what are they coming over for, guys? Because we produced another bill. Out in America, when the girls went to Washington, D.C. back in October, they went into Congress and they produced a bill which assaults the academics. So the academics behind this education, Dr. Alfred Kinsey, John Money, and the queer theorists. The American bill only covers Alfred Kinsey. The UK bill covers covers queer theory, sexual from birth and the gender ideology. So the work of Professor Emma Reynolds and the work of all these other perverted academics, we are going for them. And this bill we have produced is actually called the Child Protection and Research Ethics Bill. So what that does is, every single thing that comes into the classroom for your children can only be taught if it's adequately sourced, referenced with ethical data. Which means no sexual from birth, because that's based off the rape of a 2-month-old. None of this gender ideology, because that's unethical research as well. And as for the queer theory, I'm going to kick that straight through the door. So we need the whole of the UK to get behind us on that, guys, because on the 18th of April, we'll be in our conference. The 19th, we have a day filming, but on the 20th, guess where we're going? We will be in Parliament. Yay! Delivering our bill. So while we're in Parliament delivering our bill on the 20th of April, you guys are going to be outside of Parliament Square, aren't you? You're going to be waiting for us to come out. So we're going to put on one hell of a show for the UK, guys. We are bringing everyone to Wales. Team England is coming to Wales as well. Team England, they're too much too young. We're very, very close to Public Child Protection Wales, and they're absolute godsends to us. We couldn't do it without them. But we're going to work together. We're raising the funds. We're going to provide accommodation for international guests, and we're going to put on a show the UK has not seen yet. And this show is for our children, guys, because we are going to make sure that we build a country that is the safest place in the world for raising and educating children. But that can only be done when the filth is out the air and the filth is out of our universities. That's what we're going for now. So I think that's about it from me, to be honest, guys. It's been a really good day. I'm really pleased with the outcome, to be fair. I've only properly advertised it for a week. So yeah, this was our warm-up. Thank you everybody who spoke here today. David, Nigel, as usual, the two ladies there as well as never spoken public before. Captain for your information on the porn and the education establishment. Remember everything we said, guys. Subscribe to our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org. And when I get in the car in a minute, I will do the post on Facebook so you guys can read these pieces of legislation. You can click the link. You can pledge your support, we can stay in touch, we'll have a consultation, and we will write our own child protection training for this country, our own child protection legislation. We will take back control, we will take responsibility, we will make sure our children remain children. Thank you all so much.
So, that's filming outside of the wretched hive of scum and villainy done for today for Public Child Protection Wales. Not Mos Eisley Cantina, but Bo's the closest thing. See the flags on display, take note. In contrast, ladies and gentlemen, to just across the way, wind, not so much. How long before this one gets taken down, eh? I just get the impression that Cardiff is going through a real crisis of identity. Literally right opposite each other you see proud Welsh flags. One bar inside it had the French flag. A tricolour was on display. Right opposite it, outside the government buildings, you have the Welsh flag and the Union flag, but then flanked by it you have the Ukraine flag and the Pride flag. And then opposite, or just adjacent to that statue of Ivan Novello, literally there's a big banner up by the cultural centre celebrating all different races and cultures wearing the Welsh football uniform. It's nuts. Oh, except they all happen to be women, because you can't have men, can you? And yeah, I wonder what they're building here. Monument to dear leader Eluned, maybe? It's probably just a train station platform. And this next part is what gets me about so many people who claim to be Welsh nationalists. They have a problem with the English and all the English colonisation, etc. Then we'll have nothing to say about this. Honestly, these just made me think of something out of like Judge Dredd or Cyberpunk, honestly. Really, really scary times we're going towards. But that was when the government locks you in one of these and says you can't leave. Do you know what's really Orwellian as well, that I've noticed being in Cardiff now for today? Is that, like Orwell describes, that all of it's been monochrome grey, there's no colour anywhere, and it feels all bleak and dull. There's no hope. Industry buildings are always pristine white, glimmering, not quite going as high up into the sky, describes the ministry in his story. But when you look around at the rest of the concrete jungle, it really does start to become apparent. It's an aspect of the Ministry of Truth right there.
So as you can see, I made it back from my little excursion to the capital from my small valleys town in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, as I affectionately like to call it, about an hour away, documenting Public Child Protection Wales and their demo against the increasing sexualisation of children through the school system. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed all of the reporting. Hopefully it's going to be one of many. And it's just a final note on something which I'm going to increasingly start calling the agenda of opposition. So as you can see, a lot of the footage that I took and everything like that, some of it was humorous, some of it was to highlight things which I think we do actively need to be opposed to. So you could say that it's with a concerted agenda in mind. I don't mind that. It is the agenda of opposition. It's why I was there covering Public Child Protection Wales' event in the first place. Their whole thing there being the agenda of opposition to the government pushing down the sexualisation of children through the school system and other industries as a predatory measure against them, which increasingly leads to more things like dividing of the family, more state overreach, using social services, all of those things that Kim and Kath and the rest of them talked about in the actual speeches themselves. The agenda of opposition to other things, however, as well. Net zero and the ludicrous energy policies, the increased surveillance, the ethnic replacement of British people in the only land that they have to call home. This is what this was a part of. This is what VOTV reports going forward is also going to be a part of. The agenda of opposition, which in my opinion is the fight of our lives for our very lives, not only our lives, but the lives of those who will come after as well, whether they are here currently in existence or whether you are thinking of having them in the future. So be in this fight for them. And if you cannot be in the fight in a truly active kind of way, because obviously the state is trying to push down this massive overbearing system to keep people in check, to keep people paralyzed in that fear. It's all well described like a boot stamping on a human face forever. And I certainly felt like a thought criminal walking these streets, the streets that many of the nation of sanctuary and multicultural utopia loving politicians don't want you to see. If you can't do anything actively, then please try to support the people who do. You saw what happened to young Bob in Whitechapel recently. It's more and more independent citizen journalists coming on the scene. They might need their help as well. As myself is included in that, but obviously my reach at the moment is very, very limited. However, if you do feel that you could do anything to support this channel, maybe some of the others as well that have more reach than I do, make sure you consider doing those with the links down below and with the links that those guys will have set up to support them as well. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you find it useful. Stay tuned, we've got a lot more of this coming in the near and far future. You take care now. Godspeed.